When I got married, I felt as if it was definitely a big step in my life. I was going forward, I was growing up, I was ready just to go into this new phase of my life where I'm going to maybe accept an adult role, not be such a child anymore. And I was excited. I was excited to be with someone and to really connect with that person on a level of a partnership. And to think, it was a little overwhelming sometimes because I would think, gosh, we've got our entire lives. Am I going to be able to handle this person for 60 years or whatever it may be? But really, I thought it was a hopeful time. It was an exciting time. It was a time where I thought anything could happen. Anything great could happen. And I was ready for it. A few years into being married, I had found some pornography. And I was shocked, obviously. When you're married, you think you're the only woman. And pornography feels like another woman. And I remember, approaching him about it and saying, what is this? And of course, the first time there's some denial. And after a while, I started to really wonder what he was doing. Why was there pornography in our life? And the conversation would go back and forth between him and I about how it was normal, it was healthy. Every guy needed it, every guy had it, every guy wanted it. Women should be like this, you should be like this. And I started to believe those lies, and I started to live that way. And I think in my heart, it hurt me. But I think a way for me to just keep living my life and being the mother of a family and the wife of a family, I had to learn how to cope with that. And so I coped with it by believing the lies. And so that was the first time I learned about it. And really, I lived like that for a long, long time. And I was really good at adapting to that. And then one day, I found out that it went farther than that. And that was the day that I really woke up, I think. It was the day that I realized, no, it is never okay. It is never okay to have this in your marriage. It's never okay to use another person's body. It's never okay. It's just never okay. And I think when I felt that, there was a time period where I numbed out and I felt split and I felt alone. I felt confused. I mean, this man that loves you, why would he treat you in such a way? And, you hear all the things that people are telling you. Once a cheater, always a cheater. You deserve better. Leave him now. Do this now. Do this. Everyone's telling you what to do. And there's a part of you that just is humiliated by that thought and those feelings. And really, I was comatose for a long time, probably 6 months. I think I felt I would lay down on my couch in my same sweatpants and I would eat Oreos and I would just be comatose thinking, my husband, the man that I married, the man that I love, the man that loves me, the father of my children, the father who caught my babies, who built my house, that man betrayed me. With a lot of addicts, the truth comes out in what we call trickle truth, but really just slowly, you get a full picture of what it is you're really dealing with. And there was a moment I specifically remember finding out, enough of the truth where I just knew it was done. And I walked into the office and he was sitting there and I asked him a very simple question and I didn't get a simple answer. A lot of lying and covering up and, shifty eyes. And I just knew at that moment, I knew that there was nothing that I could do to save our marriage. And so I stood up and I said, 24 hours, you need to leave. And then the next day I got home from work and he peeled out of the driveway with his laundry basket of stuff. I talk to a lot of women about their self-image that are dealing with this type of situation. And a lot of women, beautiful, talented, amazing, smart, beautiful women that just feel like they are worthless. And why or how do we get this way where we feel worthless? Where we don't know who we are, where we don't know what we're worth, where we don't know our value. And I think what I was able to learn in that moment that I kicked my husband out was that I'm valuable, and I'm so valuable that this can't be happening any longer. And I think in my heart I felt that people don't treat you badly because of you. They treat you badly because of themselves. And I think that's just a truth that I've been able to hold on to and been able to recognize. And, like I said earlier, for a long time in my marriage, I felt less than. I felt I wasn't that woman, that image that's portrayed in the media. Instead, I was just me. And I didn't feel like me was good enough in a lot of ways. But then one day I stood up and I said, no, that's a lie. I'm listening to a lie. And my heart knew that I was more than that. And so that's really what pushed me over. When this issue first came out, my husband was the one that needed to seek help. I thought, this is your problem. This is your issue. You need help. You're messed up. You need help. And it wasn't really until I got off the sofa out of my numb state of depression, after I started to realize that I was valuable, that I started to get help for myself. And it was that moment of clarity, recognizing that I was a valuable woman and a beautiful woman and a woman worth having, that I started to take care of myself. Women don't talk about this because it's terrifying, because it's humiliating. You don't want to be the woman whose husband is a sex addict. You don't want to be the woman whose husband searches out other women on, the internet or pornography. You don't want to be that woman. It's humiliating for you, it's humiliating for your children, and it's terrifying. I'll tell you that when this first happened to me, I would walk comatose to the grocery store, getting groceries, and I would look at all the other women and I would think, I am the only one. I'm the only one. And I thought, this is the worst story I've ever heard. I've never heard anything like this. And once I started to reach out and to meet other women, I realized I wasn't the only one. And having that network and that support of people who can just say, yeah, I get it. Yeah, I get it. I did that too. I did those things too. To not feel crazy, to not feel like it's you. And when you recognize that you see another woman who's beautiful, amazing, and talented, and her husband did the same things, you recognize it's not me. And those are the moments really that you can hang on to, that you can say, it has nothing to do with me. His problem has nothing to do with me as a woman. About a year after I had discovered the major problems in our marriage, I felt a draw to write this down and to tell this story. And, I'd blogged before and I'd written before, and I thought, if I push publish right now, and I'm telling my story as raw and terrible and honest and loving as it is, I felt so vulnerable, but I felt so much empowering inside of me, recognizing my story and putting it out there. It's a scary thing to open all your raw moments to the world. And I know once you put it on the internet, you can't get it back. But really, I felt a draw and a pull to do that. And I think when your heart tells you to do something, you do it. And so I did. And I think it's just been this natural progression. Women, reaching out from all over the world saying, me too, me too. It's huge. I decided to seek help because I was traumatized. I decided to seek help because his belt would trigger me into a rage. I decided to seek help because I was now a single mother. My husband had moved out. I was a single mother of 2 children. I had to get a job. I had to get a bank account. I had to mow the lawn. I had to figure out how the weed whacker worked. I decided to get help because I was facing a life that was completely different than what I had planned. I was facing a life of single motherhood with this father figure that who knows where or what he would be. And I decided that I needed help and direction. And so I reached out to 12-Step, which is an addiction recovery program. And I really worked those steps, and I really could look inside myself and kind of take care of what I needed to take care of. I think I got help for myself because I knew I was very fragile And I immediately went and signed up for some yoga classes, and yoga saved me. I would say 12-step yoga and therapy and my BFF saved me from this. And really, the day that I had discovered something was seriously wrong in our marriage, I had stayed up 24 hours. I'd stayed up all night screaming. I just couldn't fathom that this was actually happening in my marriage. And I couldn't understand why, what, how. I wanted the details. I wanted to know everything about it. And I stayed up all night just trying to like make some kind of sense in it, trying to wake up from this nightmare, really. And just feeling just torn up and split. And that night was the worst night of my life, I think. I walked outside that morning at 10 a.m. and I just sat out on my porch just defeated, recognizing that this is my life. My husband did this. And at that moment, my best friend drove by and she, hi, and she could just see it all over my face. Because I think when my husband told me, or when I figured out what was going on, there's no way I was going to tell anybody. I thought there's no way anyone could ever understand this. And she drove by and she saw it on my face. She said it was all over your face, all over your eyes. I got in her car, we went to Sonic, and she was like, what happened? What's wrong? What happened? And I was like, I can't tell you. I cannot tell you. I cannot say what happened. I just can't even verbalize the words. And she said, he did this, he did that. I was like, yeah, he did. And that moment was really pivotal for me because it was the first time and it was right away, which was really helpful, right away when there was all that anger and all that fear and all that humiliation, that I was able to verbalize instantly to my friend what was really going on. And she was so loving, so accepting, so careful with me and my feelings, and just being so fragile and so vulnerable. So that was the moment that was really pivotal just because I was able to speak. I finally found a therapist that focused on me and focused on my fears, on my feelings, on my anger, helping me release things. Just a very like earth-centered kind of person. Just like, if you feel it, express it. Walk through those emotions, because there's no way to get from these hard things to the other side without just taking those steps. Walk through it. And I think I felt kind of afraid of pain in a way. Afraid of the pain that would come, afraid of the pain that was there, afraid of the pain of discovery. She taught me not to be afraid of the pain and not to be afraid of the emotions and the anger or the humiliation, and just to really walk through each of those emotions so that I could get to the side where I could be, I'm not angry anymore. I'm not bitter anymore. I felt like life is good. And this sucks, but my life is a good life. Some of my biggest fears are for my children. Because you think, it's their dad. I could divorce him, but it's their dad. And I was so scared for my children. So scared of telling them. So scared of having them know this is their dad. So scared of not telling them. So scared of all of the repercussions that are involved in that. And I look at my daughter, especially my daughter, because she's older now, and you should see her. She's so beautiful, so happy, so healthy, so forgiving and understanding, and knows how to set boundaries for herself. And I'm just so thankful for her. And this was terrible, and this was hard. There's just something really beautiful about forgiveness and change. And I can teach my beautiful, gorgeous daughter these same things. I can pass this knowledge to her, because soon she'll be a teenager, and then she'll be a woman, and she might get married, and who knows. And to my son, who's a lot younger, but just to be able to pass these kinds of things to my son also is just such a gift to me to be able to give to them. Things that I've learned to be really good at are adapting and changing, just letting it go. Like, this is his problem, and letting that go, and letting him either take care of it or not take care of it. It's his choice. And recognizing what my choices are and taking my choices regardless of what his choices are. Making myself an individual, recognizing that, our marriage may be, on a holding pattern right now, and we're trying to figure things out. And, the hope is that we can both heal and become stronger and better people and create more love between us at the end. But I'm not devastated if that doesn't happen. I feel my life moving in a direction where I feel more powerful as far as just being able to control where I am going, what I am doing, who I am, what I want. I find myself educating myself on other things that I've wanted to do, spending time with my family, making friends, building relationships. My life is really full, and I'm really thankful for that life that I have. You never would wish this kind of thing, even on the people that you can't stand, but I really am thankful for so many things that I've learned about myself, that I am strong, that I'm smart, that I am beautiful, that I am resilient. I think what I know now is that my heart speaks the truth to me. I think this is the biggest thing, because I think I felt for a long time that I had to follow some other plan, some other path. I had to follow what my husband wanted, what the world was showing me, what my friends were doing, what my parents wanted. Now I feel myself really just taking my path one step at a time, and it is genuinely, authentically my path. And I listen to what my heart tells me, because I feel like my heart just tells me the truth. I feel like my heart speaks to me in all aspects of my life, really. And when I do what is in my heart and what is in my mind, life just turns out to be so full and beautiful for me. I feel like I wish someone would have been able to say to me, it's okay to be angry. It's okay to take that bat to your bed and just tear it up. And it's okay to bawl on the floor for days. These things are okay. This is normal. Like, how else should you be reacting? These things are completely normal. Go through them, feel them, get them out. I think that's number one for me. Feel those emotions. Let them be real. Let them be heard. Second thing, reach out. Do not be afraid to trust someone. Trust your best friend. Trust your family if you can. Trust trust a therapist. Trust somebody. Because once you speak to one person, you can speak to two people. And once you're able to release that knowledge, like the shame just disappears. The shame, the humiliation, the fear, you can work through it. And you can cross those bridges, and you can get to a place where things make sense. I can't describe how I feel as a woman now. I feel this is hell. I went through hell. I've been through hell. Some days are still hell. But I feel this gigantic opening in my heart that provides me with so much compassion and love, and I'm becoming the woman I've wanted to be. And to be aware that I am capable of that kind of forgiveness is phenomenal. I think I am evidence that things can get better. When you do hear that, and I remember hearing that, things will get better. You'll be okay. And you're thinking, I am in my darkest, deepest hole. They will never get better. Screw you. I think what happened to me is I let myself feel all those dark, heavy feelings. I let myself kind of acknowledge where I was. And then one day, I got off the couch, I took my sweatpants off and put on some real clothes, I stopped eating Oreos, and I started thinking, I can do this. I can take care of myself. Life is hard, and, you may go through something like this, and it's terrible, but you may go through something else that's just as terrible. And the things that we learn come from inside of us. I feel like I have internally changed so much that I can stand up for myself, and I can say no, and I can put the boundary there, and I can make that happen. But I can also be open, and I can be accepting, and I can be resilient, and I can change my path, and I can change my path with my family and my husband. I started communicating more with my husband. He moved out for about 9 months. We were in limbo, not really sure what was going to happen, and he moved back in. And I think the thing between us that helped was just being able to see genuine change in somebody, not just in big things, not just in the addiction, but in genuine change in how somebody treats you as a human being. And on the opposite side, how I was able to treat my husband as a human being. and to recognize mistakes are part of life. Mistakes don't destroy everything. I mean, that was a belief that I had. He has ruined everything. Everything's over. He's destroyed everything between us. But when I look at us now, I feel this rebuilding, and he's rebuilding himself, and I'm rebuilding myself. And there's this connection that is beginning to take place that was never there, even in the beginning of our marriage. And it's deeper, and it's stronger, and there's more love there, and there's more forgiveness, there's more understanding. I feel like this issue is so complex, and there's so many levels and depths and highs and lows and medium blahs that you got to get through. And, so many things led me to another phase and to another phase. And I am right now only in one phase of many. There's so much to life to be happy about and to be satisfied with. And I really feel like this is one piece of so much. And it is complex, and it is scary, and it is hard. I know it can be done because I've walked those steps. I've taken that path. I've held my friends' hands. We've walked there together. Those women they give me so much hope. I feel like there are these amazing women out there with so much to offer. But the truth is, I could have stayed on that couch forever. It's tempting because it feels good to lay there, to wallow in your sorrow and your hurt. But you will never make it to the light if you don't step off that couch. And for me, that was just the metaphor of getting off the couch and taking the steps down the street. You'll never get better if you don't reach out. The only way to get unstuck is to reach. And I really believe that if you reach, you'll get unstuck. You'll come out of that dark place and you'll get better, but there's no other way to do it.